Hello everyone, my name is Ayeneh.
My name is Daneshjoo.
Hi, I'm Dory Barr.
And welcome to Sedaye Daneshjoo. For today's episode, we have a special guest with us. Dory Barr is a UCLA medical student passionate about research, global health, and advancing equitable care. Shaped by her personal journey and clinical experiences, she is driven to serve underserved communities through research, advocacy, and compassionate patient care. Hi, Dory, welcome. So, would you please like to tell us a little bit about your medical journey? Did you always want to become a doctor growing up? Mm-hmm. And what shaped your decision to go practice medicine?
Yeah, thank you for having me. For me, I would say there's a few things that really made me gear towards medicine. The biggest thing was healthcare in Iran. In my own hometown in Iran, we didn't have access to hospitals. If you needed care, you needed to bring a lot of money up front, and then you would get the care. There was a case where there was this little kid, and he had stitches done, but his parents didn't pay for the money, so the doctor literally pulled out the stitches. Oh. So it would be really bad. And then I came to America, and I saw it as, oh my gosh, it's not the same here. Yes, medical care is very expensive here, but they first treat you as a human being rather than money, rather than numbers, and then they worry about the money and the financial cost of what it was. So that to me was very eye-opening and how much healthcare is important to our livelihoods. Another aspect was like the sciences. I thought of education as a privilege, especially as like a woman in Iran. We don't really have as many stepping stools as men do. And I didn't really have access to a good kindergarten because of my background, but I came to America and I got to enroll in a bunch of AP classes, and it was so fascinating. And instead of being like, oh my gosh, I have to study for another exam, it was more like, I get to learn this, it's so cool. So that's what really drove me to the sciences and healthcare. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, that sounds like a big cultural shift.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Very different. And you have interest in global health.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind sharing more about that? And
yeah,
how's that experience like?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the biggest reasons for global health is coming from Iran. I saw all of that and how much healthcare is important to every single person's livelihood. And then during my gap years, from USC to UCLA, I got to be a part of Operation Smile. Mm-hmm. So it's a nonprofit organization. They do cleft lip and palate surgeries all around the world. And I had a fellowship with them for 2 years. I got to travel to Scotland, travel to Kenya, Malawi with them. And like, for instance, in Malawi, we had an all-women's medical trip. And we performed over 140 cleft lip and palate surgeries in like 2-week span. And that to me was so game-changing because not only did we come as women in medicine, where in Malawi women aren't really doctors and they have stigma against women being doctors, so we showed them not only could women be doctors and kind of change that stigma for us, but we also provided a lot of care, and we taught the doctors in Malawi how to go forward with the care, how to work on it on themselves. So once we get back to America, they can continue providing care, continue follow-ups, checkups, provide nutrition for kids who weren't able to get the surgery, so next time they will be able to get the surgeries. So yeah, I'm very passionate about that.
Wow, that's a very eye-opening experience. Cleft palate surgeries.
Yeah.
How did you become interested in that? And how did that change your trajectory of your career?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, in the beginning, I was the least interested in plastic surgery, which cleft lip and palate is part of plastics. I was like, oh yeah, it's such an artificial field. That's not gonna help anyone. I don't wanna go into this. What is this? They just want money. And then I had, from my gap years, right before, I got an email in my email inbox at USC, and it was like, oh, Operation Smile, like, apply for this. And I'm like, 2-year fellowship. Sounds interesting, but like, I don't really know much about plastics, but why not? And then I got to apply and I got accepted. It was me and another fellow. And after traveling and seeing the difference it makes on the kids, for instance, in Africa, they believe that if you have cleft lip and palate, it's because you had witchcraft done upon you, or it's because the mother was sewing something and using scissors, or it's because the dad went fishing. and like that caused the kid to have cleft lip and palate. So then the kids would be raised with the stigma of like, oh, your mom's a witch, oh, your family's a witch, oh, you've been cursed. And the social stigma of that would really like make their life horrible. They would be really sad, they would be bullied in school. So getting to see how you can actually change that for a person, I realized, wait, cleft lip and palate isn't artificial plastics. Yes, it has a lot of artificial fields, but a lot of it is also like good. A lot of kids with cleft lip and palate can't really latch on to their mom's breast to drink milk. So even changing that like helps the kid survive. So yeah, at first I was like, not for me, and then I saw what it actually is, and I'm like, definitely something I'd be interested in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's such a niche like area. When I think typically when people think of plastic surgery, they think of the artificial things, when in reality it can really change someone's life. And that's amazing. You must have a lot of experience with applications now that you're in medical school. I was wondering, how many schools did you apply to? What was that application process like for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, it was really scary for me, especially because I didn't know what to expect. And everyone told me only apply to like 20 schools, but I was like not taking that risk. I'm like, no, I'm gonna apply. I think I applied to over 60 schools. And thank God I had my dad's support to pay that, because I don't know how, like he really helped me a lot through it. But yeah, I applied to over 60 schools, which I don't recommend at all for anyone watching at home. Don't do what I did. Only applied to like 20, not even. And I ended up getting a bunch of interviews because I applied to a bunch of schools. And then you had your secondary applications before that, so it just ended up being a lot of time that I had to focus on apps. And that in itself was kind of scary, but don't do what I did. 20 schools max, you'll get in.
Oh, wow. I know some people pre-write their secondaries. Did you by any chance do that?
Yeah, for UCLA, you only have 2 weeks to submit your secondaries. And that was like one of my biggest dream schools. So I definitely pre-wrote those. I pre-wrote all the UCs. Everything else I didn't really care as much about, but all the UCs and USC I had pre-written.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And congrats on getting into your dream school. Like, that's amazing.
Thank you.
I was wondering, what was the interview process like? How did your interview at UCLA differ than other medical schools? How were they similar?
UCLA. I think UCLA had 2 interviews, and each was like not like a mini interview, but it was like a conversational interview. One was like very serious about everything I had done on my apps. The other just wanted to get to know me. For other schools, you had like those mini MMIs, I think it's what they're called, where like you go from one room to another, or one Zoom meeting to another Zoom meeting to another Zoom meeting, just ask like 5-minute questions or like 2-minute questions, and you have to answer right away. So that's how it differed mostly. But UCLA was pretty chill for me. It wasn't like something like hard questions that I wouldn't know, or like trying to trick me in any way. Yeah.
Oh.
What was the most challenging part of the application cycle for you?
For me, to first begin writing. The hardest part is just to like take a piece of paper or pen, or like get your computer and start typing the first like few words. Because in your head you're like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know how to format this, and that gives a lot of anxiety in itself, not knowing. But once you just start typing, even if it's not what you're gonna say, just anything, it helps ease that tension, and then you'll start thinking of, oh, maybe I should include this. Oh, maybe I should not include this, and that helps a lot.
Wow. Yeah, that resonates deeply with me, because I'm currently in the application process, and definitely just a lot of different drafts and a lot of different writing, and it's just... So, I mean, what's your experience like at UCLA right now? Are medical students competitive with each other? Is it more chill, or what's that like?
That's a great question. So actually, I think we're lucky in the sense that UCLA is pass-fail. So that takes away a lot of the competition between the students. If anything, I think it's more collaborative, and like people want to include others on their research. As far as like my year has been, I can't speak for everyone in the class or in different classes, but hasn't been really competitive in that sense at all. Same with academically. For exams, like if you have a question, you could definitely ask your friend and they'll help you out, explain it to you. It hasn't been like challenging in that way.
That must have been a big factor in decision making on which school to go to as well, because medical school is a marathon, and you can't compete for 4 years. And even after that, like you're gonna apply for residencies. There's gonna be a lot of competition after that as well. How do you think this format of pass-fail system has helped you throughout medical school so far, and to manage the stress that's brought about by the competitiveness in medical school and residency applications? How have you managed coping with that?
Oh, those are really good questions. Yeah, for sure. So the first one is, how did pass-fail kind of help, or what were the benefits, I guess? For me, the benefits are that I don't have to focus so much on like the pathophysiology of things. I don't have to focus on memorizing chain chemical reactions when I actually won't be using that in a lot of my patient care settings. And instead I could focus a lot of that time on research. And that research is very needed for a good residency. That research is very important just to like build our future and build it, the science is going. So it allows for that flexibility where you're not always focused on every single detail to memorize or learn. It's more like, I have the basics down, I know I'm gonna do great with this. Now let me use my other times for research. A lot of it is also like for your own mental health. Like now I have like 2 hours to go to the gym, enjoy, or like an hour to get ice cream with friends if I need to. I'm not like so focused and worried about, oh my gosh, I don't remember this one chemical formula. Oh my gosh, I don't remember like, this one drug, what was it? So it really helps a lot in that sense. And also in the competitive sense where you're able to make friends more easily. And then your second question was, how do you just cope with medical school in general and the stress that it has? So for me, a lot of it is my family. I'm very fortunate. Actually, one of my like top criteria why UCLA was so high on my like bucket list was it's so close to my family. We're in LA, Persian community's here, all my friends are here, my parents are here. So I actually drive home to my parents like almost every weekend and have dinner with them, talk with them, and they're my biggest support system. So that's one. Another one is my friends, same with them. And then after that, I would say the gym has been very helpful. It gives you like 1 hour to just be on your own, not worry about what you're learning, not worry about school, and just focus on your own like body, your own self. So I really recommend for people who haven't like started going to the gym, start building those building blocks, because you not only need it for a healthy lifestyle, but you need it for like mental health as well.
You mentioned plastics along the way. And is that something that you were shooting for? What? I know you mentioned the cleft palate surgeries as well, which has been a driving factor for that kind of decision making and interest. But where do you see yourself in 10 years or 5 years?
Wow, that's a great question. First, I think I want to say I see myself being a mother above everything else, and that's actually why, if I'm being very honest, plastics has kind of been like a debate in my mind. The female plastic surgeons that I have talked to, all of them have told me that you kind of do have to focus on your career or your children. And for me personally, I don't want a nanny raising my kids. Not that there's anything bad with that, but just the experience of raising my own kids, I think, is such a blessing, and I want to be able to do that on my own. And knowing if I go to a plastics residency that lasts 7 years and then fellowship lasts another 2 years, that will be very challenging. And unfortunately, like plastic surgeons, women in plastic surgery residency have a 40% miscarriage rate. It's actually above 40%, but that's something that's been on my mind. I'm like, it's gonna be super stressful, I won't have time for my kids, but at the same time, it's a field I really am passionate for, and I really see myself doing it, and I love it, and I love using my hands and the outcomes of that. So I'm still not sure. 10 years from now, hopefully I get to do more medical trips to different countries, do plastic surgery there. If not, I'll do some other type of surgery or some other type of medical help. But before that, I want to be a mom. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a sweet answer. And that's really sad how the miscarriage rates for surgery residency on women is so high. That's really unfortunate. Wow. I didn't know that, so just learning that, that's shocking. I was wondering currently, what's your study style like? I know everyone studies a little bit differently. Do you use Anki? Do you learn it the first time, study groups, try to like teach each other and bounce off those ideas? Or
That's a great question too. So I started off with Anki and I actually loved it. It's just a huge time commitment. Eventually Anki became like 4 hours a night, and then it would get more and more. The more you learn, the more you keep reviewing cards from the previous lessons and the previous chapters. And at that point I'm like, I don't think it's for me anymore. I want my 4 hours to 6 hours back. So I actually stopped Anki, even though it's super helpful. If it works for you, it works for you, continue it. But for me, I would use third-party resources. I used Bootcamp. And then with Bootcamp, I would watch the videos, take my own notes, and then I would do a bunch of practice problems. For me, I think it's more important to do practice problems than even like understand the concepts fully. Though you should understand the concepts fully, but prioritize your practice problems, because that's what's actually like making your mind work and actually think through it, rather than just, oh, you read it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the brain is definitely a muscle, and I think I feel like doing those practice problems like really helps a lot, because I feel like sometimes with Anki, sometimes I'll just memorize what the card looks like and immediately know this is the answer, but I'm not really thinking about like the active like mechanism that's going on behind it. So I do relate with that a lot. I was wondering, for like studying help, how approachable are professors at UCLA's medical school, and how do you find yourself like being able to talk to them about either maybe like the lesson plan or like for research opportunities? Do you feel like they're also approachable for that area as well?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Our professors are super approachable from my experience. But to also be completely honest, I wouldn't focus so much on the lectures that the school provided. I know I probably should have, but I would rather use that time with other things. So after class, if I really had questions, you could definitely approach them. They're super sweet. There's a bunch of research opportunities available. You just have to be the one who reaches out. You have to put yourself in the position of reading their research and then like emailing the professor, hey, I read about this work that you've done. I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. Would there be any spot for me on your team? You can't just be like, hey, do you have research? Be like actually passionate about what they're doing and show that through your email, and then you'll have a chance of getting into their project. And I remember like for cardiology or oncology, I was very like in love with those lectures from the class. Those were like the two that really stood out to me. The other ones were also great, but just not some, I don't know, it wasn't really for me. But for those two, I definitely asked the teachers and the professors like, hey, could you explain this again? Or, oh, could you show me how to read this EKG? I don't understand what's going on. And yeah, they're super helpful.
I think this emphasizes a big point that like starting out in med school or any other like grad school or professional school, it's very, and even if you're studying for the MCAT, for example, like that you got to figure out what studying method works for you. And I'm sure a lot of like starting juniors in medical school have also asked you about studying habits and stuff. And you also mentioned using like different third-party resources and figuring out which ones are most important for your studying in the beginning is very important as well.
That's very true.
Does UCLA offer a lot of third-party resources to medical students?
No. They don't offer it, but if I were to recommend any, get Sketchy. It's one of my favorites for bugs and micro and drugs. And then I would recommend either using Bootcamp or Boards and Beyond. Don't get both. You can't do both together. You don't have the time for that. Get one, focus on one. If like for some reason one lesson or like one I guess field of medicine in it, like derm doesn't really speak to you in Bootcamp, then switch to Boards and Beyond, but for that field, and then go back, and just, you can be flexible with that too, but don't do both at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. And UWorld at the same time was also another big third-party resource that I think you get a voucher from UCLA for UWorld itself, at least for USNLE Step 2, we do. And that one is also a very, very good one because it's just question bank, and you can basically choose which topics you want to cover, and they design the questions for you, and you can basically like practice your concepts for that.
Yeah, you wrote super big one. Don't forget that. That's the practice problems. Keep doing those.
Wow. So, are you currently studying for Step 1?
No, I'm not.
I believe it's at the end of the second year.
So that's for most medical schools.
Oh, okay.
UCLA has its program a bit different, at least for our year. I know they just changed it for the new freshmen, but we had 11 months of didactics, which is 11 months of textbook, and then your second year would be rotations.
Oh.
So we started rotation second year, and then third year we kind of get our discovery year where we get to go into what research we want to really focus on, do electives if we want to, or like make up rotations that you missed second year. And then you also get to take Step 1 and Step 2. So that's our third year, yeah.
Whoa, I did not know that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so like, I guess depending on the medical school, sometimes the curriculum really matters with your timeline of taking board exams and what that looks like. Wow. Okay, that's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Anything interesting that you from your rotation experiences since you're in second year right now so far? Any like interesting like tips or like advices, or like how are the rotations like?
Yeah. So the rotations actually were very different than what I thought they would be. A lot of it is trying your best to help someone, but then even with your best and your team's best, unfortunately, it doesn't work out how you guys would want it to. And then a lot of it is actually seeing your work make a difference for the person. So it has a lot of like emotional challenges. And there were definitely a lot of times where I was sat on the floor and on my shifts, just seeing how the patients are doing and knowing that there's not much we can do to help. But then on the other side, you have to think of, wait, I am in this position, at least I can like go and talk to them, make their day better one by one. Even if we can't help the whole healthcare outcome for this person per se, we can help their day be better. We could help be there for them. And then on the opposite hand, we had patients where they came in, they had altered mental status. You would not understand what they were saying. They wouldn't even understand that you're trying to communicate to them at times. And then we would review everything. We call it like rainbow labs. Take all the labs, all their medications list. Then we took every medication they were on, changed that one by one. And like we didn't mess with their sleep schedule, said you can't wake this person up to take their labs. Like don't wake this person up to like take their, their like blood pressure. And that actually worked. So they graduated hospice from just doing that. Yeah, so you see a patient who you think has no more than 6 months left to live. They can't understand you, you can't understand them. You take everything they have, try to like break it up and start over one by one, and it made a difference. And over that 8 weeks of internal medicine, I saw someone graduate hospice. It was amazing, so yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Especially I think having that early rotational experience could really help like guide your decision into what specialties you want to go to, have like a better idea of the different issues going on in healthcare. So I feel like we could talk for hours, but unfortunately we are running low on time. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experiences. I'm sure they were very valuable to our viewers today. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. That's all we have for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching Sedaye Daneshjoo.